Everybody. Good morning, Vicky. I was just told not to be clever because this is a serious podcast. So I will not try to be clever at any level. There is no cleverality that will happen. Lead the way.
You're so inappropriate. That's not what you need to say when you press record.
No, I'm trying not.
Just press record.
I'm not being clever.
Oh, you're just
What do you want?
Nonsense. Utter nonsense.
How would you like to lead people into a spiritual time today?
You're so ridiculous.
Have you ever laughed so hard that like you split? I don't know where that saying comes from. I just split my pants. Is that laughing so hard, or is that working so hard?
That's exactly where. The last time I laughed so hard, now I don't split my pants, but I like.
Is that where the saying came from?
Could almost pee myself. The last time that happened, we were invited over to someone's house for dinner, and she made a gluten-free pie. I have never in my life laughed so hard trying to cut through a pie. We could have used a saw, like an electric saw, but no, we tried a steak knife. We were trying to stab it and break it. At one point I was like, I had washed my hands because this was like just as things were starting to open up after COVID. So we all know to wash our hands properly, but I'm like trying to crack the crust and pull it apart, and I could not.
I remember that. There was something wrong with that.
We laughed so hard.
Good morning, Shannon.
It was very cathartic.
Cathartic.
Laughter is cathartic.
So, yeah, I hear that more often.
Why do you ask?
About peeing yourself. So when you laugh, when you sneeze.
It's because you hang out with a lot of women that have had children.
And they're getting older. I guess you pee yourself a lot. No, I laughed. I love laughing. So I don't like laughing just for fun, but I laugh because something's tickling me on the inside.
You don't laugh out loud easily.
No, but I was reading my dad's spiritual journey book. He wrote a memoir, I guess. And there was a precursor to the part that I found funny. I forget what it was, but he talked about Indonesia as an archipelago. And I couldn't, I was driving and I almost had to pull over. I was crying because it's my parents, when we came back from Indonesia, my parents did a presentation, and it was like one of those carousel slideshows and an audio tape that would play on the sound system.
Oh, really?
And part of it was like Indonesia, an archipelago of islands. That's all I remember. The torture of sitting through
and you were
church
a kid
services.
And you had to sit through the long church service that was the same every church you guys would go to.
And whenever he did a presentation, it was typically at night. So it was like the night church. Oh my goodness.
Remember when we went to night church?
Remember night church?
If you grew up in church, you went to night church. Sunday night church.
Yeah. So I love laughing. I think it's therapeutic.
It is therapeutic.
I think laughing and crying are both different ends of therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But
what about anger? How do you because feeling and expressing anger is also cathartic and therapeutic, but it's like tricky to navigate that in a healthy way. And there's like a lot of us, me, that are really afraid of anger, other people's anger especially.
Yeah, I don't find the emotion of anger therapeutic, but I guess there's an outcome of the emotions. Like, so if something's funny, then I laugh. So there's an outcome that is cathartic. But if there's an amend to be made due to my anger, I think there's some healing in that.
If I've been harmed or like hurt or like something destructive has happened, I've learned, be able to give space to that anger and hurt inside of me and even express it in a way that's healthy, which that is just tricky.
That's therapeutic as well. If you can express all of your emotions in a proper way.
That's what I was saying.
I was thinking of, there was times where I was younger that I couldn't not laugh. Like there was like, inappropriate laughter where I could, like, there's no stopping me no matter what. Like, I can't stop. And so my brother would know that a little bit. And so he would actually pick on me in some instances where it's like quiet church service, and he would start, and like I couldn't look at him. And then when I'm not looking, then I'm thinking what he's doing. So it's actually producing a laughter inside of me. And then I have to like leave the room, but then I get in trouble for leaving the room. So this one time we are on wooden pew benches in a very not historic, but reverent situation. I think communion was happening. There was peace and silence. And then there was a rip, like flatulence on the bench beside me. And I'm like trying not to laugh because it's my brother. He passed a little bit of gas and it rang through the church. And so I'm trying not to laugh. Like I'm like bobbing up and down, and I look over and he's going like this. Yeah. And it wasn't me. I couldn't stop laughing. Like I had to leave the room. I don't know what the end of that was.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you wound up with a spanking.
Probably.
Like in those days. Those were the good old days of spanking your children. Moving right along.
What's more funny than spankings? All right, here we go.
I think one of the worst spankings I ever witnessed.
You got a spanking?
Oh. Witnessed was because the kid laughed.
What kid?
There's no possible way to like make a parent, a spanking parent, more upset than to laugh at their spanking.
Yeah, but that's laughing at the spanking.
Don't laugh at your spanking.
My mom used to do that with a spoon.
No one spanks
we were like
anymore.
Scare laughing, crying all at the same time. All right, let's get our spiritual.
We're not condoning spanking. Please don't send us hate mail.
I have thoughts of spanking, but okay, let's get our spiritual game on. This is our morning meditation, our contemplative meditation. We will take this idea out into the world today. This is God's day, and we get to be a part of it. We are his children. He is the parent. And what will he have to say to us through? Wow. Anyway. All right, here we go. Step 1 of the 12 steps. Admitted we are powerless. So basically, I have no power to stop drinking, stop adrenaline. I have no power in what I'm doing. I've lost the ability to choose when I stop and when I start. Is often thought to be the most difficult for all. But for some of us, though, the second step is just as hard because it suggests we admit that our own behavior isn't always been entirely sane. So I'm insane. Here's an example. A fairly usual habit that is irrational and self-defeating is to make big troubles out of little ones. We don't do this because we haven't enough of the big ones. Oh no. It's because we're so weighed down by it all that everything looks black, and we fail to distinguish between what's crucial and important and what things we could afford to ignore and forget. Creating chaos. That's what it speaks to me about. Today's reminder, every time something happens to frustrate or annoy me, I'll stand off and ask myself, is this a mountain or a molehill? I just won't waste time and nervous energy on unimportant things. I'll save them so I can cope with the big ones. Coping. Here's our quote. Some folks worry and putter, push and shove, hunting little molehills and making big mountains of.
Making mountains out of molehills.
So in step 2, we came to believe in a power greater than ourselves that could restore us to sanity, which is suggesting that the only way to make my mind sane is through the power of God and through the love of God, where his love will cast out all fear. And so I'm not insanely running and being driven by fear, but I'm being guided by the light of God. And so I go from insanity to sane. And so, but when I'm in recovery, I can drop my alcoholic insanity. God can take away my alcoholic insanity, but then I can start to have the insanity that I can run my own life. And so the process of recovery is saying that I can't run my own life. That's what the insanity is, that I'm not a good director of my own life. And so I have to come to believe in God that will run my life, that will be the manager. That's a big step for people that I think we gloss over. Is like, how do I truly go, I'm giving up the title of king, of parent, of director, of teacher, and I just get to be the child. I get to be the actor. I think it's easy to gloss over that, but the reality of the consequences of actually giving that all up and walking in the sanity that God will run my life and I can't.
Well, I know for me last year, I had to get quiet. I got quiet. There was just, I needed to disrupt some of those patterns of knowing what's a big thing and what's a little thing. Understanding that that's what I was doing. I didn't understand that that's what I was doing, and I wasn't doing it on purpose. And so I think I know there, and I mean, it's interesting to think about because I'm like, would I have done the same thing if COVID hadn't happened? If I didn't, like I had already lost my job and I had already started looking into like, I need to do something differently because, anxiety and just this constant pattern of chaos. And I knew that I wanted to do something differently. And so COVID hit a few months later. And I don't know if I would have been able to get as quiet as I did, but I think it was really necessary for me. There was a really necessary time for me to like not talk to people about what was going on, like not be, and then also not be distracted from what I was learning, like I can keep myself really busy.
So would it be fair to say that as quiet as I can get, it'll show me the level of insanity because there's screaming voices in my head?
Yeah.
And there's so much
Yeah.
tension and anxiety that when everything is cleared away, I still have this inside of me.
Yeah. I think that's exactly what happened for me. And then I didn't think I would be the kind of person that could ever sit quietly and, just be still. But yet I actually thought that that's what I was doing. I thought that that was part of my life, but it really wasn't. I didn't really know how to be still, and especially not in any constructive way. And I didn't understand that there's these disciplines, like spiritual disciplines, but also life disciplines that could bring so much clarity and calm and peace and like order and serenity into my life. And I really pushed up against them. I totally pushed against them because I would rather back in my chaotic times, I would rather just like focus on all the difficulties,
all the mountains. Yeah. And so the whole concept of turning a molehill into a mountain is so that I can actually respond to it, react to it, play God, control situations, control the circumstances, and continue and perpetuate the cycle of me being
sure. But
I
never would have said that. That is absolutely 100% not what I would have said. I would have said that I was being really helpful. I was being of service to God. I was being helpful. I was being involved. I didn't see it as control or fixing or creating chaos. I didn't understand that.
And Shannon says God works in mysterious ways. He can move mountains. It's so true. And on that point, we will end. And the meditation is, am I creating chaos? Am I creating bigger problems that there needs to be because I want to be in the middle of it? I want to fix them. I want to control. And I want to do God's job. So step 2 says, I come to believe in the power of God that can release me from the insanity that I can manage my restless, irritable spirit. On that note, we will leave and we will see you tomorrow. Until then, keep the peace, be of good behavior, and be salt and light to the world around you.